I'm super excited to be joined by Amy Purdy for this Blueprint session presented by Degree. Amy Purdy is a professional snowboarder and a three-time Paralympic medalist, making her the most decorated Paralympic snowboarder in U.S. history. She's a New York Times bestselling author, international motivational speaker, season 18 Dancing with the Stars runner-up, and she and her husband, Daniel, co-founded Adaptive Action Sports, a nonprofit organization which helps disabled youth, adults, and veterans get involved in action sports. Amy, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good. Thank you guys so much for just your patience during our technical delay.
Yeah, it was awesome. Like I said, everyone is super excited for you to get here. So I want to get into this. I know you recently partnered with Degree. How do you relate to their mission of inspiring confidence and everyone to move more?
Yeah, for me, movement is so important. When I lost my legs at 19 years old, I think the most important thing for me to do was to be able to move my body somehow. And and it also felt good because that's what empowered me, is like, maybe you can't always do things the way you always did it, but just to be able to move your body, that builds confidence, that creates endorphins, that feels so good. So that's always been something that was really important to me, whether I was an athlete or not, just to be able to move my body somehow. And so partnering with Degree, who their mission is to inspire people to move through their products, but also through their programs, it's a perfect partnership for us. And I wanted to just kind of mention, because I know there's a lot of CEOs and also athletes who are watching, that when you partner with brands, it's so important to partner with brands that have the same values as you and like the same mission as you. And then it's the seamless partnership where you're able to lift and build each other up. So with Degree, that's what we're doing, which is really cool. Plus, they're helping to support programs across the country for youth and rec centers that are shutting down due to COVID. And I run a nonprofit organization called Adaptive Action Sports, so I know how important it is to keep these programs running, and Degree's doing that. So I'm really grateful to be a part of what they're doing.
Yeah, Amy, and you mentioned something that I think really hit for me. It's just Degree aligns with your brand as well, right? When you talk about having your core values and personal mission statement, just how important that is to define, especially when you're coming up as a young CEO. So
yeah,
I know you've published a New York Times bestselling book, done incredible TED Talk, been on Dancing with the Stars, as I mentioned before, and founded a nonprofit. How do you know what you want to prioritize in your life at any given time? And what advice would you give on juggling multiple goals at once? Because a lot of us are doing a lot of things.
Yeah, I mean, the ideal situation is to be able to just focus on one thing until you succeed at it. But it's rare that we actually get to do that. Plus, we're multifaceted, we're multi-talented. Our brands have different branches. Like right now, I'm a speaker, I'm an athlete, I'm starting a podcast, I'm passionate about skincare, I'm starting a store. I mean, there's so many different parts of the brand that it's like, how do you get to all of it? How do you focus on all the things that are important to you? And so a couple of years ago, I actually learned a technique that really, really helped me to prioritize. So I found myself being really busy, which is a good thing, but somehow not getting anything done because I was overwhelmed. So I was trying to be an athlete. I was trying to write speeches. I actually had a TED Talk that I was asked to do. That was in 2011. And so I knew I needed to get this speech done. I was running our organization with my husband. Somehow I was finding at the end of the day, I was getting nothing done, even though I had so much to do. And so I actually called a life coach, and she helped me tremendously. And this is what she told me. So the first thing that you do every day is, what makes you feel good? What makes you feel good? For me, it was eat. And I think for everybody, it probably should be eat. Like, we need to eat or we are not going to feel good all day. We're going to be cranky. We're not going to get anything done. So the first thing you do is you eat. And then the second thing you do is what makes you feel accomplished. Well, for me, what made me feel accomplished was working out. If I did not work out at some point in the day, it didn't matter what I did or accomplished, I didn't feel accomplished. I needed to work out. I needed to move my body. So the second thing I did was work out, even if it's just like a 10-minute workout to start the day, not even your full workout, right? And then the third thing is, how do you make a living? Like, what is your bread and butter? How do you make money? For me, it was being a speaker. So I needed to write my speeches. And then the fourth thing that I did at the end of the day, after all that was done, was all the other fun, cool, creative projects that I was trying to work on, right? And so by the end of the day, I realized that I got the important stuff done. I ate, I worked out, and I made my money by noon. And then I had the rest of the day to work on everything else. And so for me, I still use that because it helps me, like, you know, like I'm starting a podcast and I'm creating a store, but am I making money right there, right now? No. So that kind of goes to the end of the day. So you prioritize the things that are most important first. And then you realize that you actually have so much time to get everything done. You just have to figure out what the most important stuff is. And I definitely think eating and moving your body is the two most important things we can do to start our day.
When I tell you, I can relate to the food piece because nothing's getting done until I have some food in my belly. So I love that you said that. And what time do you wake up?
Oh, you know, I should wake up earlier than I do. I probably wake up around 7:30 or 8. To be honest, I try to wake up every morning by 7 and it doesn't really happen. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to lay in bed. But you know, I schedule my day. This is another thing that helps a lot. I schedule my day the night before. So I've got in the notes section of my phone, I've got a checklist and I've got a time that I do everything. And so by doing that the night before, then I wake up the next morning, I know exactly what I'm doing. If you don't do that, it's very easy to kind of get lost in the day. You know, you get caught up in emails. Somebody calls you and pulls you over in this direction. Before you know it, you didn't focus on the stuff that's most important to you. So schedule it the day before, get it in a checklist and literally check off those things each day. And that helps too.
Yeah, I love that. You seem like you have it down to a science. And it just seems like you are super confident in everything that you've done. And I'm sure it took a long way for you to get there. But what are some tips for gaining self-confidence and moving out of your comfort zone?
So I feel like everything I've done that I would consider an accomplishment was the most uncomfortable thing I've ever done in my life. Like, it started out that way. Like, even being an athlete, it didn't come naturally to me. I didn't become an athlete until I was 30 years old. I wasn't raised an athlete. I didn't play sports in school, but I loved to snowboard, and I had like a natural kind of talent for it as well. And so I pursued snowboarding, but I did not become an athlete where I trained to become an athlete until I was 30 years old. And that was hard, stepping out of my comfort zone and trying something new. Also, when I did Dancing with the Stars, I had no idea what I was doing, you know, dancing with 2 prosthetic legs. I tried out for my dance team in high school and didn't make it. And I tried out for the cheerleading team and didn't make it. And that's when I had legs. So now I was doing Dancing with the Stars with 2 prosthetic legs. And I had no idea what to expect. I mean, most of us, we want to be confident before we do something. But the thing is, the confidence comes in the doing. So you're not going to be confident until you do it. And so I think for me, that's such a reminder of like, everything is scary when you're trying something new. But here's a tip. If you commit before you're confident, then the confidence will come. So commit to whatever it is you want to do. You guys want to do a podcast? I'm just throwing it out there. You want to be an athlete, you want to do a podcast, whatever it is you want to do, commit to it. Literally put it on your schedule. I'm launching this new podcast, and before I did anything with it, I actually reached out to my guests, which I got some pretty big name guests, and they all said yes. And I put them on my calendar. And then all of a sudden I'm like, well, I better do this thing. So I'm like recording the trailer, buying a microphone, you know, I'm like all of a sudden just jumping to it because I committed before I was confident, before I even knew what I was doing. And so, anyways, I think that always helps, is just remembering that, like, you don't have to be confident before going into something. In fact, you're not going to be. You get confident when you make the mistakes, when you fail and get back up, you know, when you learn the lessons that you learned going through it. That's where the confidence comes.
And it sounds like you have a lot of experience, right? You've been through these different obstacles, and I'm sure you had people in your corner. So who do you look up to for guidance and support during those tough times? Because like you said, through trial and error and experience, you get confidence, but
Right.
in that corner for you.
Yeah. I mean, so depending on, we all have different challenges, right? There's the challenges that you choose, which is you're starting a new project or a new job or a new path. And then there's the challenges that choose you. So for me, like losing both my legs at 19, or right now I'm dealing with a major injury as well. And I've gone through multiple surgeries this year, just getting back to walking again. So that's a challenge that I didn't choose. So we are dealing with challenges every day. And so it's really important to have a support group. So when it comes to like my physical challenges and issues that I'm kind of working through right now, I have a group of women that I meet with who are also going through other challenges themselves. We inspire each other to get through our challenges every single day. I also have kind of a mastermind group of women who are entrepreneurs, who are trying to shift during this time of COVID and figure out what they want to do next. And so we meet every 2 weeks and we help to inspire each other to go after our dreams and chase those projects and step out of our comfort zones and do something new. So I think it's really, really important that we create kind of support groups around us. And I almost think like masterminds are like the modern support group, but the idea is you guys reach out to people who inspire you and see if you can get on a Zoom call every 2 weeks with them and discuss the different projects that you're working on. And then you've got each other to get through it, because we don't know it all. Listen, we don't know it. Like, you do not know it all. I don't know it all. We need each other. We need to learn tips and techniques and tools, and something that's working for somebody else may work for you as well. So we need each other.
We do. And Amy, I can tell you, I have no idea what I'm doing. I know I have goals, and, same thing with you. I have my support groups and people who I talk to, but I don't think they tell you this growing up, but you just kind of figure it out as you go. Like, you keep through trial and error and experience. And I know you mentioned the support group as something that's really great advice and something to have in your corner. But what other advice would you give to our audience on how to keep moving and getting through these challenging situations?
Gosh, I mean, honestly, the things that we kind of spoke about today, first of all, just movement is so important. Whether it needs to be physical movement, because I'll tell you, when you move your body, even if you stretch and just like take a deep breath of air, it gets just your whole energy moving. It gets your brain moving. It gets everything you do from that point forward moving. I totally just believe in momentum, which is like, there's times when things are moving and it's like things are just happening. Things are falling into place. And I swear it's because you just got started. You just started moving. There's days where, like, say I haven't worked out for a while, and then it just seems like nothing else has energy in my life either. My business, everything just seems kind of stagnant. Then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I started a new workout program, and I swear the phone starts ringing off the wall. I start, thinking of new projects and ideas. So first of all, I think the most important thing is to move your body, because that gets everything else moving in your life. And then also, once again, literally create a support group, even if it's 2 or 3 other people who are doing what you want to do, or who are doing what you're wanting to do. Like, they've either accomplished it or they want to go through it with you as well. So you guys can help each other to grow together, because we need each other. We don't need to be sitting in our houses by ourselves trying to figure things out when there's other people out there who have figured it out. So meet up with them, reach out to them, create this group so that you can grow with each other and learn from somebody who's already paved the way. And then I'd say the third thing is just commit before you're confident. Just commit to the things that are living inside of you, because I know we all have that. We all have these things that are like, I know this is what I want to be doing and I don't even know where to start, but just start. It's like right when you start, everything starts to flow. All of a sudden it makes sense. You're not going to know it all until you're in it. So just get in it and allow yourselves to suck for a little bit, allow yourselves to not be an expert. Like, eventually you will become an expert, but you have to be open to making mistakes, failing, and trying to figure things out before you really understand how it all works. So just allow yourselves to like have the freedom of, you know, sucking at something in the process of figuring it out. And then I would say another thing is don't be focused on the outcome. You know, we all kind of have this dream, which is great, and this vision of where we want to go, but it really comes down to the process. Be committed not to the outcome of something that you're working on, be committed to the process. And the process is every single day being consistent and approaching your work with passion and keeping an eye on why you are doing what it is you're doing. You don't have to know how you're going to do it. Just know why you're doing it. If you know why you're doing it, that will carry you through all the challenges that you'll face.
Passion and purpose. Amy, I love that. You are so inspiring. The chat is going crazy for you right now.
Yeah.
And before we wrap up, though, I do want to give a chance for someone to ask a question. We've been doing Share the Mic.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so I want to bring someone in to ask Amy a question, guys. I need a final fire question, a big hitter for Amy while we have her on here as well. So let's see who we got.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Amy. Hi, Chloe. Oh my God, I forgot how to speak for a second. My name is Nodine. I've been taking notes and just want to say thank you all for the gems. My question for you, Amy, and you, Chloe, you can respond as well, is I'm a junior in college right now, and emotional burnout has been something I've been experiencing not only this semester with like the current status of the current situation of our world, but ever since I got into college. It's been a really, really tough journey, and not many people tell you about that. So I wanted to ask, have you both ever felt emotionally burnt out, and how did you recover from that?
Oh man, I've been on an emotional burnout for a year. I had this injury last year that came out of the blue, and I've had all these surgeries and, you know, have dealt with major anxiety and also had doctors tell me they couldn't help me, although I eventually found doctors who could. So I know exactly what you mean by emotional burnout, and it's hard to do anything else when you are just tapped out emotionally. So I personally just think, first of all, I mean, you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't just keep giving, right? Like you have to fill your heart and your soul and your cup and your mind and your brain, everything with your passion and the stuff that you love so that you can give that to your work. So I think just self-care is really, really important. Whatever it is that you need to do to stop and reset and give yourself time to get inspired again so that you can approach your school or your work with energy. That's important because energy is that's what's going to keep things moving. When you don't have the energy, you can't create, you can't put energy into anything. So I think whatever you need to do, go back to take care of yourself, eat well, move your body, take a bath, write in a journal, like whatever you have to do to kind of feel inspired again so that you can approach your work with energy. I'd say those are the things that have helped me.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was a great question. Amy hit it right on the nail there. And I just want to thank you again, Amy, so much for joining us. And once again, super sorry for the technical difficulties that we had earlier, everyone. But like I promised, Amy is here and she was absolutely phenomenal. One thing though, Amy, what is your podcast? Because a lot of people were asking.
Yeah, so it has not launched yet, but if you guys go to my Instagram, which is just Amy Purdy Girl, I'll be sharing it pretty soon. But and I don't have a set date yet. Over the next month or two, we'll be launching it. Right now, I'm just doing interviews, and it's called Bouncing Forward with Amy Purdy, and it's all about stories of grit and resilience and setbacks and remarkable comebacks. So.
Well, thank you again, Amy, so much for coming on today. We really appreciated having you.